NamRA Kachenu, 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 NamRA Kachenu.
NamRA, serving with passion.
Hello and welcome to this edition of NamRA Kachenu, where the focus is on tax, customs and excise matters. I'm your host, Shipena Jambi Kohangan, and I'll be keeping you company for the next half an hour or so. In recent developments, Namibia's enforcement success in protecting wildlife species, and NamRA hosts strategic customs meetings. All that and more will be coming to you in a while. Stay tuned. Africa unites against wildlife crime through an operation, saving African wildlife through multilateral assistance, leading to over 100 confiscations and the arrest of numerous traffickers. The initiative conducted by customs officials highlighted Namibia's significant contribution with 17 cases and 34 seizures. The NamRA Commissioner Sam Shibute emphasized the need for continued international collaboration to safeguard Africa's wildlife.
Going forward, so which is the post-operational phase. That's why we are here today in Windhoek, Namibia, to be able to look at it from the 6th to the 7th of May 2024. That's the operation. The code is SAMA, which is the force of its kind to be conducted. Total seizures that were made were 135 seizures that were made during the phase of the operation.
Where better to discuss this than a country where wildlife is so precious and cherished like in Namibia. It's good, as I was reading a bit about the topic of wildlife, I was quite shocked to discover from research that wildlife trade has become the world's fourth largest form of transnational crime.
I'm also very happy that Namibia, as a member of CITES, what we call Convention on International Trade on Endangered Species of Flora and Fauna, we have kept that commitment. And as a result of that, 2019, when that project of Blue Line was established in Namibia, where you have the Namibian police, when you have the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Forestry and Tourism working together, and later on bringing in other stakeholders like now your Customs Administration, Namibia Revenue Agency, the Office of the Prosecutor General, and for them to do what's supposed to.
NamRA hosted the 39th Regional Steering Group and 30th Governance Council meetings of the World Customs Organization, WCO, East and Southern Africa Region, ESA, in Swakopmund from the 16th to the 24th of May 2024. These meetings brought together Commissioners Generals and the Secretary Generals of the WCO to discuss innovative strategies for enhancing customs operations.
I welcome you to Swakopmund. Many of you that are in the room have been here now for about closer to a week, and I'm sure each of us has a story to tell about Swakopmund. I need not say much about what the town is and what it has to offer.
In today's globally connected and dynamic world, boosting trade and investment are vital to the prosperity of a nation, and it is widely recognized that customs plays a vivid role. And we had a meeting today, short meeting with the minister, where he was saying that we shouldn't downplay our role because the amount of revenue collection is vital for the development of a country. You can have lots of policies, but if you don't have the money, you're stuck.
In looking at the agenda, I realize that many of these undertakings will be topics of our discussion. In them, I look forward to understanding your experiences. They are an important contributor to the work of the WCO as we work to respond to members' priorities and elevate specific elements of their experience to inform the development of policies and tools, as well as activities to support their implementation. Doing this correctly means focusing on the right subject matter, being consistent in our approach, engaging what good comes of the work that we do together.
My plea is that as over the next 2 days we engage in these policy and technical issues, that we zoom out and do so from a leadership perspective, and that we truly live up to the DNA of the World Customs Organization. The only organization I'm aware of that refers to itself as family. That we truly live up to that DNA and look for the things that unite us. Look for the things that will bring greater harmony between us. Look for those things that will ultimately connect us, as our motto counsels and encourages us to do.
With regard to energizing, Tadei Pumbu is someone who is always motivating, is always encouraging. When you find a staff or someone in the lift, he's interested about how are your kids doing, how is the family doing. He's interested in their names, and he is not a man defined by title. He wants to energize. It was during that time that he also ensured that the wellness of the bank and the wellness of the Ministry of Finance, that he was the brainchild about making sure that the officials and the colleagues must be energized. But it doesn't just, the energizing does not just end at the workplace. It's at home, but also at the village.
Now, I'm very pleased to hear that you're here to talk about how do you enable the functioning of the Africa Free Trade Area, because this is a very, very important milestone for Africa, for our continent. In January 2021, when the Free Trade Area came into effect, there was celebration everywhere. So the work that you are doing here today, it is really something that that you should appreciate the importance of the work that you are doing here, because it's going to enable us to realize the benefits of facilitating trade in Africa, and with that, development will follow, because no development can take place if we are not able to trade with each other.
As revenue collectors, we indeed have a mammoth task to ensure that our work fosters economic growth and inclusivity. This is a responsibility that we must wholeheartedly take with pride and dedication. To all our distinguished speakers throughout the week, who gave expert insight and shared the expertise which enriched our understanding as well as inspired us. We want to appreciate you. Those contributions were invaluable, and we are truly honored to have learned from you, and do look forward in anticipation that these insights as well as opportunities will be realized.
After the break, we'll be joined by Mr. Uazapi Maendo, who is the Manager for Customs, Client Services and Procedures from the NamRA's Customs and Excise Department. Be sure to stick around.
NamRA Kachenu, NamRA Kachenu.
Welcome back. We are now joined by Mr. Uazapi Maendo, who is the Manager for Customs, Client Services and Procedures. Mr. Maendo, it's indeed an honor to have you join us today, and a very good welcome to NamRA Kachenu.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Maendo, could you please describe the main responsibilities of your role as the Manager for Client Services and Procedures, and how exactly do these impact the vision of NamRA?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. The subdivision Customs Client Services and Procedures are responsible for key responsibilities that are the development of internal standard operating procedures mainly meant for customs officials. And secondly, also to review current or existing procedures for the clearing agents that to lead to the drafting or that led to the drafting of the rules for registration and licensing of clearing agents. That is just to manage the relationship between them and NamRA. Thirdly, it also responsible for management and control of bonds that is a surety that is put up by a company that importing or exporting goods for the sake of covering of the duties and potential duties and taxes. And fourthly, my subdivision is also responsible for advising traders and potential investors on the procedures that they need to put up. And lastly, I'm also responsible for the development and updating of the Department of Customs and Excise documents or forms that are used for clearance purposes. And our procedures are, once they are understood by the traders, they enforce voluntary compliance, and that is telling in with the vision of NamRA. Thank you.
Now, what are the facilities that are registered and licensed under the Department of Customs and Excise, and how exactly are they beneficial to our traders?
We are having 5 facilities or bonds or bond operators. Number one is the clearing agents bonds. Secondly, it is the warehouse bonds. Thirdly, we have transit bonds. Fourthly, temporary import bonds. And lastly, the credit facility bonds or bondholders bonds. And they are very helpful to the traders, as they are allowing them to move goods without paying upfront the duties and taxes or potential duties and taxes.
Right. Now, apart from the registration and licensing of facilities, you've also mentioned documentation and procedures as part of the sections that you oversee, right? Now, what are some of the activities performed under that section, and how do they contribute to trade facilitations?
Yeah, under that section, that's the section that is responsible for the forms that I have mentioned earlier, the Customs and Excise forms, to update and review them, align them to the current or existing legislation. And secondly, also they are responsible for receiving applications for extensions of temporary importations and also scrutinizing these to ensure that there is no expiration of these. And in terms of if there is an expiration, then they have to pay a penalty or a fine. And also environmental levy in terms of especially motor vehicles.
Thank you. Now, what are some of the challenges that you face in managing customs client services and procedures? And is there a particular aspect relating to compliance you would like our viewers to take note of?
Thank you very much. First challenge is the applications and the registration is done manually. One would love to have it digitalized, and a process that we are busy on looking at, and so that we can have proper statistics and back and forth communication between us and our traders. And also the other challenge is the renewal of clearing agents licenses that are not done on time, and that we are also urging the clearing agents to do as such, otherwise there will be suspensions on that issue.
The renewal of clearing certificates, is it on our side as NamRA, or is it on the other side of our agents now? What's up with the holdup?
It is the clearing agents themselves that are not coming up, and we do sensitization activities, and they are simply not all of them coming on board. And as I said, the deadline is by the 31st of December of every year.
Mr. Maendo, before we close off this session, what is your final message to our viewers?
Yeah, thank you for that question. To our viewers and our valued clients, I would love to say foster a good, healthy relationship with NamRA based on trust, and also adhere to the laws and rules and procedures of customs. Pay the dues to the government, and thereby contributing to the development of our country. That's very important. I thank you.
Thank you once again for the brief insight.
Thank you.
Now that wraps our discussion with Mr. Uazapi Maendo, who's the Manager for Customs, Client Services and Procedures at NamRA Customs and Excise Department. We'll be back shortly.
NamRA Kachenu, NamRA Kachenu.
Now let's focus on the bonds and guarantees for licensing and registrations of clearing agents.
Good day. My name is NamRA Shaninga from Trade Facilitation Department. In this episode, we are going to talk about custom surety bond. What's a custom surety bond? This is a financial security issued to custom from a recognized financial institution to cover potential duty and taxes during the importation of goods. We have 5 different types of security bond or surety bond. The first one, we have a clearing agent, then we have a bonded warehouse, then we have a credit facility, then we have temporary import, and we have transit import bonds. In this episode, we are going to concentrate more on clearing agent. Clearing agent, the industry expert who act as a broker between customs and the trading community, who are importer and exporter. They are registered under Section 73 of the Customs and Excise Act. Their function is to facilitate the clearance of goods when you are importing or exporting them. Requirement for clearing agent registration and licensing. Number 1, you must prove like you have been working for customs or clearing agents for more than 2 years. You must be registered with BIMPA. You must be in good standing with both NamRA, Domestic Tax and Social Security Commission. You must prove like you have existing business premises or at least a lease agreement where you are going to conduct your operation. Your building should be certified with a fitness certificate that it's fit to conduct the operation you are applying for. You must also prove like you are registered with FIC. You must also provide us with your resident, which is an ID or passport. And if you are not a Namibian, you must provide us with a work visa or a resident permit.
In the next insert, we'll look at bonds and guarantees for customs and excise, storage, or manufacture warehouse bond.
Good day. My name is NamRA Shaninga from Trade Facilitation Department. In this episode, we are going to talk about custom surety bond. What's a custom surety bond? This is a financial security issued to custom from a recognized financial institution to cover potential duty and taxes during the importation of goods. We have 5 different types of security bond or surety bond. The first one, we have a clearing agent, then we have a bonded warehouse, then we have a credit facility, then we have temporary import, and we have transit import bonds. In this episode, we are going to focus on bonded warehouse. What's a bonded warehouse? A bonded warehouse, or what in other words what we call a storage facility or manufacturing facility, it's a facility licensed by custom to store goods which duty are not yet paid. Various types of custom warehouses which are registered in terms of Section 19 of the Custom and Excise Act number 20 of 1998. The first one is a container depot or ordinary storage, which is called OS. A container depot storage purpose is to store goods intended for home use or earmarked for export. However, this facility is strictly a container storage to create space at non-port storage. The second option we have ordinary storage, which is OS. This facility is used to store imported goods intended for home use or re-export in the same state. The third option we have is special ordinary storage, which is called SOS. This storage facility only stores goods intended for export only, especially goods which are stored in duty-free or inbound or outbound. The fourth option we have is a manufacturer, which is a VM. This is a facility intended for storage of locally manufactured or imported goods to be used in the production of a finished good. Example, the manufacturing and bottling of beer, manufacturing and packing of tobacco. Then we have a fifth option, which is a special manufacture warehouse, which is SVM. This type of warehouse is designed for the storage of temporary importation of raw material used in the manufacturing and bottling of wine and vermouth, or also other fermented beverages such as ciders. And the sixth option we have is the manufacturing warehouse, which is also called SVM. And this SVM is strictly used for temporary importation of inward processing in the manufacturing of plastic products. Then we have a seventh option, which is a primary manufacturing warehouse, which is, we call it VMP. This is a clearance of raw material to be used for the manufacturing of spirit, distillation, maturation, and the maceration of spirit. The eighth option we have is that secondary manufacture warehouse, which is called the VMS. This is a direct entry of custom warehousing for the purpose of branding of spirit, stabilizing of spirit, bottling of spirit, such as brandy, whiskey, gin, etc. Then the last option we have is a state warehouse. A custom state warehouse where detained or seized goods are stored until they are released or they are done for destruction. What are the requirements for a bonded warehouse? The requirement is the applicant who wish to store the goods must submit a written application to the commissioner. This is applicable to both OS and SOS facility. And the second option, or the second requirement we have is the manufacturer applying to produce excise goods or process or store to the rebate must submit a written application also to the commissioner if you are a manufacturer. Then the other option, or the other requirement we have is that you must have a comprehensive business plan indicated where your operation is going to take place. The other requirement that you must indicate the anticipated business volume along with the proposed suppliers and customers must accompany in the application when you are writing in your cover letter. Then the sixth requirement is that you must have a certified copy of owner identity, such as passport. Then the seventh option we're having is that it's a proof of registration with the BIPA. You must submit it also. And you must also have a proof of a lease agreement of the property if you are not owning it, with the access to facilities such as internet connectivity and email. The other requirement that you must have an original valid good certificate from NamRA domestic tax. And the last requirement is that we need a good standing certificate from Social Security. I thank you.
Here is the trivia of duties.
Did you know? Who can be considered a large taxpayer in Namibia? Large taxpayers are based on the threshold of an annual turnover of 75 million or more. Regardless of the turnover, all mining companies will be classified as large taxpayers. Large taxpayers contribute more revenue in terms of domestic tax collection.
NamRA, serving with passion.
Do you want to make a payment for tax debt? Well, here are the available options for payment.
My name is Angela Kamui, Senior Revenue Treasury Officer at NamRA. I'm going to take you through the process of making payments to our NamRA offices. We have 4 modes of payments which are acceptable at our offices, which are direct deposits, cash payments, electronic fund transfers, and speed points machines. When making electronic fund transfers, we have 2 accounts available for our taxpayers, which is Receiver of Revenue, account 165001, and the VAT dedicated account 165060. When making a direct deposit, our taxpayers need to fill this deposit slip at their commercial bank. You need to have your TIN with you. The TIN consists of 8 characters, and then you should also know the period that you are making the payment for. When making an electronic fund transfer, for your penalty or interest liability due to NamRA, you use the EFT referencing example as shown on the screen. It also has 19 characters, but on the text type and text period, you put 999, indicating that the payment is account payment. When making electronic fund transfers, EFT referencing example is shown on the screen, which comprises of 19 characters. The taxpayer reference number comprises of 5 parameters, which are as follows. 1. Represent the payment method, in this case, EFT payment. 06. Office of registration or your return office. The 8th character represents your tax identification number. 14 is tax type, in this case, employees tax. 2018-06 is the tax period for which the payment is meant for.
In our previous episode, we asked, what is transfer pricing? Here is the answer. Transfer pricing is a price at which one division sells or renders services to another division within the same company. In a group of companies, it is the price at which the subsidiary company or sister company sell or render services. Here's our question for this episode. What was the main agenda discussed during the WCO ECA meetings in Swakopmund? Kindly email your answer to NamRA Kachenu at namra.org.na. The due date for submission is the 6th of June 2024. The winner will be announced in the next episode.
And with that, we conclude this edition of NamRA Kachenu. We trust that the information shared has been both valuable and insightful. Join us again in 2 weeks' time for the latest updates. But until then, stay informed and compliant. Goodbye.